Hello everybody, it's Andrew's Weather Predictions here. Today I'm going to be talking about the ongoing severe weather across the plains actually, across Oklahoma, Texas there. We also have a flash flooding threat for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida Panhandle. We have significant fire danger across these areas in the blue circle and very heavy wind gusts. We have scattered winter weather advisories across portions of the Rockies and Cascades and even into northwestern Colorado, or Kansas. Um, if you jump over to GR2 here, we currently have a slight risk in effect, which I'll talk about that later. But we do have upper 50 dew points with a pretty strong squall line right now across portions of Texas with some weak rotation, nothing significant. If you do end up jumping down here, which this is going to take a second to load, so just an FYI, we'll talk about this in a little bit here, but we have, looks to be a few supercells that have fired. One kind of right here, one there, one there, one there, and one there. When we get the full radar view, we'll be able to see this, though. I'm pretty sure this radar is working. Let's hope it is. Let me jump over to radar scope and see if this radar is actually working. Not Roblox, radar scope. If it is working, okay, so it is working. Maybe GR2 just didn't pick it up. Okay, GR2 isn't picking it up, so we have to go on radar scope here. But as you see here, we actually have some pretty significant rotation here south of this town, like Azona here. We have, okay, so we have a squall line with a supercell embedded. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Here's your current look at the Weather Prediction Center, and as you can see here, we have that risk of severe weather across Texas and Oklahoma today. We have a risk of thunderstorms for a large area. Now tomorrow we have a marginal risk that got added in here. We also have another marginal in here. Then Wednesday we have a large marginal that I do expect a slight risk upgrade. I believe it's for like this area. I do expect there to be a slight risk with that, as models have been looking very interesting with it. And if we look at our front map here, yep, severe weather's outlined for today. Tomorrow there's none outlined because it's not really significant. And as you see here, Thursday at 12Z, you start to see the system. And then after for Friday, we really don't know what's going to happen. The models have been hinting at, well, actually, we do know something that could happen. Models have been hinting at a pretty progressive system for potential severe weather for that area there. We'll have to watch. Rain over the next 7 days is expected to be very significant across this area, with some areas receiving nearly 10 inches of rain, so we could have some very significant flash flooding. We do have two slight risks of flash flooding in the foreseeable future and a large marginal today. Now let's get onto the Storm Prediction Center's page here. Let's first start off with the mesoscale discussion, I think is what I'm going to first start off with once the site loads back up again. We'll actually first start off with this watch here. Okay, so currently we have a severe thunderstorm watch for portions of Oklahoma and Texas, including Altus, Childress, Abilene, and Hobart. Primary threats with this scattered damaging winds up to, likely with some up to 75, isolated large hail up to 1 inch in a 20 or 2. Probabilities with the watch 20 for 5. The wind probs are very high, so that's like nearly enhanced risk probabilities for some damaging wind gusts. So that gets me to think that they almost went enhanced risk for the day, so that's interesting. Currently we have 4 wind reports here. Okay, so this is a mesoscale discussion. We're probably going to get a watch out for this area for the supercells along the dry line, like I was talking about earlier. Or linear convection, excuse me. Let's get into the outlook, though. Very large. Once this loads. Taking its sweet time to load today. Day 2 work fine? Okay, day 2's working fine. There we go. So, we have a slight risk in place for today. A 2% tornado risk, 15 wind risk, and 15 hail risk. Wind looks to be the main threat. Tomorrow, we have a marginal. I do think this is going to get extended a bit further to the north and east, and south and east. It's probably going to look something like this when we wake up tomorrow morning. Is what my expectation is. What my guess is. It's probably going to look something like that. And then this other marginal maybe up to here, but nothing really going to change with the southern marginal. We have two areas of 2% tornado risk, a 5% wind risk, and a 5% hail risk. Day 3, I do expect the state to get upgraded to a slight risk. It's actually not that large of a marginal, but I do expect this to get something like this. And then I do expect it to be like a slight somewhere in here, as models have been hinting at some pretty significant convection developing. See here, Lightman talks about potential embedded supercell development, so yeah, and here we go. You got a day 4 outlook that got issued last night, a large day 4. I do actually think this is going to go day 3 enhanced risk for areas kind of right in here is what it's looking like, maybe a bit further to the north and east as well. So probably going to be like a day 3 enhanced, something like this if they do issue one, and the slight would be something close to what they have right now. See here, they talk about tornadoes, wind gusts, and hail being a potential, and then day 5, they're talking about the confidence is too low. So this is predictability too low for day 5 through 8. We do expect there to be some sort of severe weather potential for the Carolinas and maybe the Mid-Atlantic, but we don't know how the extent of that yet. Let's get on to the models, though. I have the NAM pulled up. Let's get the 18Z, I believe. Is it up yet? No, it's not. We gotta use the 12Z NAM. So, we'll first start off with the NAM. Then we're gonna move over to what we have, the HRRR pulled up. Okay. It's being a bit... My internet must be a bit slow today. So... Okay. Well, let's first, start off with the precip here. So... Start off with the precip here. We're going to go to hour 75, as that's when our main threat period is. As you can see here at this point, really don't have a really centered low pressure anywhere. So that's what's interesting. Other models show just defined low pressure, but let's just start by taking some soundings here. NAM is being is a little bit interesting here. It shows a lot of if here as a precip, so we really don't know until we get here. But with this sounding, you see a decent area of instability, a large hodograph, not quite streamwise, decent lapse rates, high instability or high kinematics there, or high shear. There is some veering, so I do think we'll get some supercells at some point, but I do think it's going to end up with more of a mixed storm mode because the upper level veering isn't that great to support supercells for a long time, so I think this is going to end up being a QLCS. But still, you can still get embedded tornadoes within the QLCS, and some stronger ones can happen even in QLCSs. Take Easter for an example. You had a lot of QLCS tornadoes that were very significant on Easter. As I'm just going through some of these soundings here, this one's going to load here. It's going to take a hot second here. Oh, wow. So this is a streamwise hodograph, and what that is a hodograph with a lot of helicity with it. This has that. Lots of helicity and sharing the sounding, some lower level veering, and actually maybe just a slight bit of upper level veering. This will support some supercells for some small period of time. Decent amount of cape. Lower level lapse rates aren't too favorable. They're a bit marginal, so that could be another limiting factor with this setup. We do have some limiting factors, but I do think enhanced risk probably will be issued for this on day 2 or 3. But as you can see, a very large hodograph here. Actually, lapse rates aren't terrible there. They're still not great, especially at lower levels. Let's look at the GFS 12Z. So the 12Z GFS, it has a very significant solution. So actually, the GFS para has become operational now, but the GFS is a very significant solution occurring. a very, very significant low pressure. We'll look at the pair in a second. A very significant low pressure here. End up taking some soundings in south central Mississippi. You get a lot of instability and a lot of halicity and shear. And if you end up looking at 21Z here, you start to see the lower level jet is cranking at this point. The GFS is a widespread lower level jet of 50 plus knots with some areas of 70s up here. If you look at the Cape here, usually the GFS underdoes the Cape, but... Oh wait, this is the para. Oh, this is the GFS para. Oh, so this is the GFS para now. The para is the GFS para has morphed into the GFS and it became the GFS. So this is now the GFS, and the GFS para doesn't actually underdo the Cape, which the GFS underdid the Cape a lot. So I'm happy about that. You're going to be getting more accurate readings. But look over to the Euro here. We start to see Euro shows a very, very significant solution happening, as well as the para. You see here 1,000, 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape kind of coming up in there. Even at this point, you still have a lot of Cape. If you look at the Canadian, again, it shows a significant solution. The NAM shows a significant solution. So this is very, very concerning. But let's get back to the Euro. Actually, I actually haven't been able to look at the Euro yet. So let's take some soundings here. Kind of southwest Mississippi there. Woo! Lots of instability. Lots of Cape. Lots of wind shear. North Central. A little bit less shear, but a lot more instability. It looks like this setup has a bit more lower level jet than what the St. Patrick's Day setup had at 18Z in the middle of the afternoon. You see here, yeah, 50 knots. Let's look at let's just compare every single model at 18Z, and we're just gonna put it into a GIF here. So this NAM run, this NAM run's honestly, in my opinion, the 12Z NAM run is an outlier. Or could be an outlier. Very easily could be an outlier. Because it shows a lot less shear than what the Canadian shows, the GFS, the RDPS, and the UK Met. So this NAM run could be an outlier. It still shows a lot of lower level jet, but it's not as bad. As you can see here, the Euro, it shows around what the NAM has, but the NAM has a lot less, not in my opinion. The NAM does show a lot less. The RDPS goes nuts with the lower level jet. We'll just take some settings with this here as well. The NAM also is an outlier with the low pressure placement, and wow, that would actually be more of a linear hodograph though. Interesting. That's a linear type of sounding. This is a QLCS type tornado sounding, but I'll move on here. The NAM is a model that doesn't have a well-defined area of low pressure either, which is very interesting. Okay, this would actually support tornadoes. Very, very supportive for some pretty tornadoes. And what I will say is that I think we're probably going to see a significant risk of tornadoes and wind damage, because once the supercells morph into a QLCS, you're going to get very significant wind damage, and you're still going to have that significant tornado risk as well. And I do think we will see some strong tornadoes if the models keep trending like this. Like they haven't. Oh my gosh, that is a streamwise hodograph yet again. 600 SRH down here, and the instability isn't as good at this point, but still very significant. And looking at the 0Z, this thing is a nasty linear segment there. Wow, that's nasty. Still some pretty streamwise hodographs. If we want to look at the 3K here, we'll look at the 3K for tonight, or for the risk over, we'll just look at the 3K nationally here, and we're going to look at it for a large period of time. It's probably not the best model to look at for this, but we're going to look at it for kind of the Midwest risk. So yeah, you can see here that low pressure there. I might want to take the lows off, we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, you can see a pretty significant line of thunderstorms is expected to develop tonight across Texas, that area. And then as you move along here, you see that line kind of weakens. Then we get supercells to develop along the low here. The NAM nest wants the low further west. If we get the low pressure further to the west, that means the severe risk is further to the west. If we get it further to the east, that means the severe risk is further to the east. And I do think this Storm Prediction Center is going to issue a larger marginal due to the fact that there's a lot of uncertainties with this. And as you move along, my area in Illinois gets some severe weather. The south gets some severe weather. That low pressure cranks. Then Wednesday afternoon, a strong line of thunderstorms develops across Louisiana, Mississippi. I do expect there to be a marginal or a slight, and then the low pressure starts kind of cranking in. And I want to stop this here at hour 60, because at this point, we really don't have a low developing on the NAM. If you look at the dew points here at this point, this is going to be crucial for the next event. Well, I really need to see what these dew points are. Okay, so it's loading in. This has no sounding data at this point, but I just want to check this out. Looks like we're going to have dew points in the high 60s all the way up into this area. Okay, we have 70s. That is pretty significant. We have 70 dews across this area. An area of 70 dews, excuse me. Taking a hot second to load there. Taking a bit to load, which is annoying, but if you do end up looking at the HRRR, we're going to put this into motion here for the Midwest. I am mainly going to use this for the Midwest here. Take it a little bit to load here. We're going to look at the 18Z run of the HRRR here. We're going to look at the forecast loop. We're going to put this thing into motion. Okay. Oh, looks like a rainy morning in the Midwest. Some strong thunderstorms developing low. Kind of out here. Then the HRRR is now showing the low further to the east. Brings the severe weather potential further to the west. I mean, west, excuse me, sorry. So, looks like models... I do think there's probably going to be some isolated small hail. Maybe a brief tornado with some of these. Okay. This new run is showing pretty significant supercells. Not significant, but shows an isolated supercell here, but a line of supercells. Let's take some soundings at this frame. I wonder what this supercell is working with environment-wise here. Okay. That is a large photograph, so that's going to be favorable for some tornadic development. The instability is there, but marginal. Instability will be the limiting factor with this. I do think it'll be rather marginal. There's a QLCS right down there. There's no real instability in front of it. Interesting. We're probably going to have some sort of weak tornado threat across this area, but the instability will be the limiting factor, so I don't think this is going to go any higher than a 2%. And as you can see here, kind of just weakens out, and that low just starts cranking. If you look at the southern risk here, look at the southern United States here. We'll just check this thing in the motion for the rest of the night here. HRRR has actually done a decent job simulating the squall. It actually has a pretty significant supercell developing, and then it goes MCS. Then it shows some isolated supercells tomorrow afternoon across this area. This is what gets me to think there'll be a marginal across this area for some tornadoes and damaging wind gusts. Lots of heavy rain across that area tomorrow. And then 18Z as well. Pretty... Look at all these supercells off the coast. Look at all them lined up. And then we get to see that low pressure starting to crank. Now, I want to go over to Call to Do page because I want to show you guys something that's pretty rare and doesn't happen very often. Let's see here. Like hour 72, I think, with this run. Or something like that. I might have messed it up a little bit. Okay, no, it's 70. It's 78. Okay. Okay. Hour 78. This is the mean, and there's supercell composite of 10. This is rare. This doesn't happen often. It only happens with pretty big events. Max is at 17, but we don't really look at the max. The max is pretty misleading. But if you look at all the ensemble members, I'll put checks by the ones that I think... I'm going to put X's by the ones that don't show this. there are only 3 members out of the 20 that don't show this being a pretty significant event. That is rare. That is over 75% of them. That is over 75%. That is a pretty large number. But yeah, Cape probs are 1,000. If you look at the ensembles for Cape, I'm gonna X out the ones that that don't show 2,000. This one doesn't show 2,000, and this one doesn't show 2,000. Only 2 don't show 2,000. That is again significant. EHI nearing 100% up here. Service on positive probability again nearing 100%. Look here, 500 millibar jet. There's a jet streak across this area that the ensembles are really picking up on, so that's something to still be mindful of. But let's go over to the Euro. We're gonna look at the mean here. We're gonna look at the Cape for all the members here. We're gonna go down into some of the regions of the United States. We're gonna go southeast here. Okay, so we're gonna look at members. We're gonna look at these members here. So, okay, so this is for tomorrow. Most of them are in agreement that the biggest severe threat looks to be centered over kind of southern Illinois to central Illinois, Missouri and Iowa, and into Louisiana as well. Wednesday, all of them are centered in the Louisiana, Texas area. Thursday, almost all the ensemble members are showing 2,000 Cape except this one, with the 1 to 26, except one. Now, if you look at the 25 to 20 to 50, that one up there still doesn't show 2,000. And this one also doesn't show 2,000 in this one. So some of these are not agreeing with 2,000, but Cape probs for over 500, 100%. Cape probs for 1,000, nearing 100%. 2,000, we're starting to get into the range of 50 to 60%. 3,000, no. But pretty significant there, what they're showing here. Surface wind, no, we don't want surface wind. Upper wind. Okay, 500 millibar wind shear. They're all showing a pretty significant wave of a jet coming in here. And they're also agreeing on... Whew! That's a lot of lower level jet energy right there. I believe this is lower level. Yeah. Let's go into the European model. We're going to look at the instantaneous flash rate like we normally do. I'm trying to figure out what to do here because I don't remember where it is. I'm gonna find it eventually, but like the continental United States, not continental America. I don't know, man. I'm trying to find it right now. There we go. That took me a second to figure out, but let's move on. Instantaneous flash rate. We're a bit far ahead of the game, but let's just move along here. We already talked about today's severe weather. We already talked about tomorrow's severe weather. We've already talked about Wednesday's severe weather. We've already talked about Thursday's severe weather. We've already talked about Friday. We've briefly touched on. Looks like there's going to be some severe potential across the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast and maybe down in the Southeast as well. Then Friday and then Saturday next week we might see some severe weather across the South. Same with Sunday. Then looks like the pattern's going to quiet down, and then maybe something out here. I want to take a look at the Cape out here. Yeah, the Euro is starting to show something out here. We'll see if it happens. Shows some instability for me actually, but yeah, we're going to see if that actually ends up happening. Let's look at the rain amounts here. I don't know if they have it, but I don't think they have total precipitation total. Boom. So So throughout the run, it slams my area into the Midwest, also slams the South. But that's gonna do it for this one. Just an update on a lot of things here. I'll catch you guys in the next one.